Good afternoon. Welcome to the TheoTRADE afternoon video. I'm Blake Young. Today is December 31st, 2025, and we're going to give you a quick year-end recap focusing on equities versus bonds versus the dollar and commodity prices and kind of what we might expect going into the new year. Now, before we leave here, this is the S&P 500, and you'll want to note a couple of things. One, our implied volatility skyrocketed, obviously, in this big sell-off, in this pullback. So in this pullback, we went from 6,100 all the way down here to about 4,800, a major pullback and a major spike in volatility, that 59% implied volatility on the S&P 500. Since then, we've had little blips, little spikes, really never breaking through 30% again. And as we finish out the year, near the highs, we have implied volatility about 14%. That is a very low implied volatility. There's not a lot of concern or uncertainty at this moment. However, when we look at the year, if we were to compare the year and go back as a percentage from 1 year ago, going back to the first trading day of the year, January 2nd, and go from that open price to our current price, you can see that we gained about 16%. So 16% increase. Now, how much of that was inflation and how much of that was appreciation, AI, growth of stocks, returns, expansion, development? Well, a very simple way we can use the dollar index. Now, the dollar index is going to compare it to other currencies. And we're looking at this as a percentage of the dollar's purchasing power. So again, we're going to go back to that beginning trading day on January 2nd. We're going to go from that open price all the way down to our current price, about 98.37. Now, if we look at the percentage decline here, you can see it dropped about 9.5%. So just comparing the dollar's purchasing power, as far as that's concerned, we see a correction of about 9.5–10% decline. The dollar's purchasing power against other currencies lost 10%. That is a big loss. So if we're up 17% or 16% on the year in indexes, that means we had a real return, if you adjust for the dollar's purchasing power, about 6%. So the year's about 6% up. If you think that's a great return, I would say that's a weak return. And it's that your dollar lost all that purchasing power. That's just the dollar against other currencies. If we really look at the global stage and compare it to inflation pressures, and we use and assume that gold is a substitute for that inflation hedge, and we look at gold for the last year, whether we use gold futures or gold ETFs, you're going to get a very significant move. And we can see even with the pullback off the highs, we're still dealing with a nearly 60% return on gold. That means gold hedged out 60% gain versus the US dollar. So the dollar lost 10% against other currencies. It lost 16% against equities and lost 60% against gold. If you assume that gold is a better substitute for inflation, that would infer that U.S. equities lost 54% when it comes to inflation. Not gained, but lost 54%. That is not a great year if gold is your substitute for that inflation. I think that's aggressive because there's more than just inflation being priced into this. This is definitely a flight to safety and chasing returns. But let's take half of that, even half of that. Theoretically, equities lost 14% to half of the return in gold. That's not a good sign. So if gold is climbing, you'd think, okay, so therefore we're growing, we have growth and inflation, and inflation is growing really quickly, we should see a much bigger number. Well, the BLS gave us their number that is speculative at best, and that speculative number says we're about 3.5% year over year. If we compare gold to copper, which is my favorite way to look at the definition of stagflation, and we go back and compare it from a year ago, how much did copper grow versus how much did gold grow? So if we go back to copper and go from that open to the current price to finish out 2025, you can see there's your 30%. So gold grew at 2 times the pace. Now, earlier, when copper collapsed down, I would have said that is massive stagflation. To have gold breaking out, running 30% by the time that copper had returned nothing, to me that is absolute stagflation. Now we know that China is hoarding metals, including industrial metals and precious metals, And so we're really seeing 2 times inflation hedge compared to growth. So if we have growth, according to GDP, of about 3 to 4%, theoretically inflation's at 8, not at 3. This is not a situation that we're seeing true growth. It is still signs of stagflation. And the only reason why we're not seeing inflation move higher is because of what we saw crude do. Crude came well off its highs, pulled way back, nearly 25% from the highs. And if we go to January 2nd again and look at where we're at, we're currently down 9.8%, exactly what the dollar is. So the dollar lost 10% and crude lost 10% in dollar terms. That would infer that crude lost 20% in other currencies. This is the only reason why we don't have hyperinflation. This is the reason why we don't have 10 to 20% inflation numbers. It's because crude has come off its high by that same 20% in other currencies. It's the global scale, the big picture. And so to me, again, we're seeing signs of stagflation. We know, and I've been talking about the $55 price level for crude. So as I'm looking forward by looking backward, I'm looking backward and saying we don't have growth at the rate of inflation. In fact, inflation is showing twice as much. We don't see the growth in equities nearly as high as it looks if you take inflation into consideration. Crude is the only thing that's kept inflation from being a lot worse. And so as I go into 2026, there's a couple of other clues and hints I'm getting that are going to give me the warning. Now, you may have seen in the past me talk about widening patterns with higher highs, lower lows, higher highs, lower lows, or expansion candles or expansion patterns, or my megaphone pattern, or sometimes I call it the pirate flag. When you make higher highs, lower lows, even like this, that's a big warning that you've cleared out buyers and sellers and you need to be watching for a new pattern. And that's true on short term and long term. If we go back and look at the last year in US equities, and I'm going to go into the year and go into the monkey bars. I've already drawn the monkey bars for 2026, and we're going to expand this out. So we're seeing each one of these as a representation of a year. Now, kind of hard to see here, but what we have is an average range in the SPX of about 900, 1400, and then this year 2110. So we nearly double. And if you go back even further and make some comparisons, we're nearly 5 times the range. When we look at gold price movements, we're over 2 times the range compared to average yearly ranges. So this higher high, lower low, and we didn't clear the low as we did on other instruments, but this higher high expansion pattern is a warning to us. We've cleared out all the volatility. We tried to push through the lows. We cleared this out. And so this move, the higher high and higher low, with a widening pattern is a warning. It's a megaphone. And if I were to draw a trend line off of this, we'd be looking at these highs, and we'd be looking at these lows. And as you can see, it's widening, it's separating. And a widening pattern is the megaphone pattern. It's the yelling at us, hey, be careful, look out. We're possibly seeing a major correction coming or a new trend evolving. Now I can go back to the 3 years and we can do this a little bit differently and include the time components of it. And we'll get rid of our monthly monkey bars. And I think the last year becomes even more obvious that it's an expansion if you look at the difference from 2024 through 2025. If you start at 2024, end of 2024 going into 2025, and compare the previous highs and lows from 2024, we have these lows here and these highs here. This is absolutely an expansion pattern. And expansion patterns have the tendency to define a new trend, and it has a difficult time accelerating through the already extended side. Now, whether it's up or down, this is extended, 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 and it struggled at the top of that trend. I would anticipate we're going to go and test 7,077, pull back to 6,500, but we could pull back to half of this range. Now, half of this range in the expansion would give us something closer to 6,000. And that means we're looking at 10 to 15% pullback in the S&P 500. It's even more dramatic when we look at gold. Now, if we go to gold and we go back for this year, you can see this move and this acceleration through here. Still some expansion. It's not nearly as expansive, but it is the massive, significant breakout. And it's hard to be able to capture this off of the highs because it is so aggressive. But this is an expansion pattern as well. The megaphone pattern here would say you could pull back to 350, but I do expect this to go higher first. So GLD is pushing higher, and we compare year over year. As you can see from the monkey bars, our average year for GLD is $24, $25. It's about $200 on gold futures, so about 10 times as much. And this year, it's 175. So this is 5 times the potential in this move, 3 times compared to the last 2 years. But the average, again, is about 5 times this year's range, is 5 times as much. That is a massive expansion, and it can't sustain that. And so what I've done is I've actually used this to get a new level for gold, and we're going to go back there one more time, and I'm going to use the futures for it. So all that move, this is my projected for 2026 monkey bar levels. My anticipation is, hey, we're at fair price, the mid price there, and we're balanced. So I expect us to trade here week over week for the next couple of weeks and probably test $5,000 an ounce. So futures are probably going to go up and test 5,000, but that's where I'm looking for the peak. It's hard to sustain this type of expansion. I'm going to look for a failure at 5,000, a break below 47 to trade it back for a 10% move back to fair price. If it does fall any further after this very large sell-off week, then I would be looking to buy anywhere between 36 and 38.80. But I do believe we priced in about as much volatility and as much of a safe harbor play into gold as we're going to get. Any move higher is going to be muted, and I'll be looking to fade throughout the year, and probably within the first quarter, anything above 47.60 and certainly 5,000. And the last thing I want to look at is bonds. If you look at bonds for the last 3 years, we had expansion back in 2023 into some choppiness and consolidation in 2024 and further consolidation year over year in 2025. I don't see this as a great sign of anything other than we're unsure what to do. Keep in mind, anchoring from the high to the low, you can see we're pretty balanced this year. If we see a sell-off from now into the lows because bonds are being sold off out of the overbought zone, if we go back into the lows of 2025 because there's low interest in owning bond prices, that will push the yields higher. The Fed funds rate cuts are not causing long-term rates to drop. So if we see this go lower, yields and rates for the longer term are going to go higher. If they go higher, it's only going to make what we talked about worse. We're going to see more volatility. We'll see more sell-offs in equities. We'll see more struggling markets and struggling financial sectors because lending isn't going to be happening at those higher rates. So watch for this, because if bonds continue to sell off and the market continues to drive bond prices lower, yields are going to continue to go higher regardless of what the Fed's done. The market has to turn this corner and push bonds through the highs if we really expect to see lower borrowing rates in 2026. So I am watching bonds as a warning sign. The fact that we're slowly drifting lower is threatening this, but we're pretty flat for the last 6 months. In the end, we're still seeing uncertainty. In the end, anytime I see expansion patterns, I treat that as clearing out buyers and sellers, and I'm watching for a new trend. The new trends for 2026 do not look overly bullish. The new trends that could play out could be flat to down for equities and commodities, and we could see corrections. So I'm watching very specifically for defensive plays. I will continue to look for consumer staples, healthcare, and utilities as defensive plays. I will expect crude prices and energy to maintain this current price near 55 to 57. I don't see a lot of indication that we're going to continue to sell off, but I am looking for clues and signs of the next trend in all the major asset classes, and it does not look like we have a lot more upside. So be careful, watch for clean entries, watch for new trends, because I do believe we've cleared out all trends when we've seen anywhere from 2 to 5 times the ranges year over year. And the opportunities are going to be there, but it might not be in a bullish AI-driven market. That's going to do it for me today. Thank you for watching. Have a very happy New Year's, and we'll look forward to talking to you again on Friday at TheoTRADE.